but she hopes to empower other women.
It's very hard to even talk about it, to even confide in other people. So I'm hoping that I can encourage other women to find their voice, to walk away, and to be strong.
The idea of me having her on the stand.
Oh, you're going to kill her, bro.
Forget it. I will rip her to shreds.
Yeah.
Body bag.
She has body bag for sure. She has she has no chance of survival.
Andrew Tate is officially countersuing his ex-girlfriend Bri Stern for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, invasion of privacy, abuse of process, and misappropriation of likeness. I wasn't intending on doing a standalone video about this, but this counter-complaint is just incredible. The Tate's lawyers never cease to amaze me with the absolute garbage they are willing to type up. To make sure we're all up to speed, this comes after back in March, model and ex-girlfriend of Andrew Tate, Bri Stern, filed a lawsuit against Tate, alleging violent sexual assault and battery.
Tonight, disturbing allegations being made against one of the most controversial figures on social media, Andrew Tate. In a civil suit filed in Los Angeles this week, model Bri Stern accusing Tate of sexually assaulting and choking her at the Beverly Hills Hotel earlier this month. Stern sitting down with NBC News from Los Angeles in her first interview about that night.
Talk to me about what was going through your mind in that moment.
I was scared to death. I was terrified that I might die.
This counter-lawsuit to me was inevitable, considering at the moment the Tates and their lawyers are just vomiting out lawsuits. The Tates' infamous, bumbling mess of a lawyer, Joseph McBride, is behind this counter-lawsuit, and it shows. McBride is currently fighting disbarment due to complaints about his conduct while representing the Tates, with classy acts like going on the Fresh and Fit podcast to, in my opinion, conduct blatant victim intimidation against the Tates' alleged trafficking victim Jane Doe, who they are suing in Florida.
In the Romanian case, would she have to go back to Romania and testify in trial?
If it reaches a certain point, surely, and she'll also have to endure my cross-examination here in the civil case, right? We're not gonna.
Oh yeah, she has to take the stand in a civil case.
Hell yeah, she has to take. She's a defendant. The idea of me having her on the stand.
Oh, you're gonna kill her, bro.
Forget it. I will rip her to shreds.
Yeah. Body bag.
She has body bag for sure. She has no chance of survival. I don't see how she gets on. And endures this. At some point, she's going to have to cop out to the truth.
And just so the audience understands, because so you guys might be wondering, well, hold on, she's a defendant. Why is she taking a stand? Guys, she has no Fifth Amendment privilege in a civil case.
Nope.
So she has to take the stand.
And discovery is a whole lot more invasive.
It's time to get into Tate's counter-lawsuit of Bri Stern, and it is spectacular. McBride says this when describing what Bri's supposed lies have done to Andrew Tate. He says Andrew suffered severe emotional distress, including anxiety, humiliation, psychological and reputational strain that has adversely affected his personal relationships, professional opportunities and public perception, and that he has had ongoing therapy and medical treatment to address stress-related symptoms. It's incredible that Andrew Tate is making this argument in court, considering since he's had any notoriety on social media, one of his main things has been going on about how depression is not real, and that he's too much of a badass to need therapy. But just to make this more absurd, right now as I'm recording this video, as Andrew Tate has filed this counter lawsuit and used this argument in court, this is his pinned tweet, a video with the caption, "Therapy is poison." Here are some highlights of the video.
You need to leave therapy immediately.
There is nothing more destructive to the male psyche than sitting down and complaining and crying about your problems to somebody who has their own problems. Automatic submission to some idiot with a piece of paper, a PhD he got from a bullshit university. Therapy in and of itself is destructive to your ability to take control over your own life. Instead of being thankful to God for the difficult things he's put you through so you can be a more resilient individual, you instead go and cry to some human, to some fallible creature, complaining. I'm so anti-therapy, and I've had these conversations so many times with people. Their answer is that I need therapy, supposedly. If I need therapy, how come every single person on the planet knows my name? How come every single time I walk in the room, they're like, oh, Mr. Tate, Mr. Tate, and everyone starts going, Top G, and getting cameras out? How come I'm an international celebrity with hundreds of millions of fucking dollars? How come when I was thrown in jail and put in a Romanian dungeon for 4 months to stare at the wall, I came out perfectly fine, and all I do is win, and you're telling me that I need therapy while you're in therapy, and you're a nobody? Nobody even knows who you are. I don't need therapy. I self-therapize, and I self-therapize with anger, because anger makes me brave. People say to me, oh, I have anxiety. And they talk about it like it's a bad thing. Like this anxiety demon has come into his life and ruined his life. Get out of therapy. I publicly state that I have anxiety. I have governments trying to kill me. You have dulled your sword, so you have nothing to threaten the demons with, because you're too busy sitting around in therapy like a little girl. When anxiety turns up, you cower before it with your little weak, dull sword. A therapist will say, oh, we have to get rid of your anxiety. We have to get rid of your anxiety. Just bend over and spread your cheeks. We're going to get rid of your anxiety.
Again, a reminder that this video is Andrew's pinned tweet right now, as he is arguing in court that Bri Stern's allegations caused him emotional distress, anxiety, and sent him to therapy. Joseph McBride, representing Andrew Tate, really is the blind leading the blind. As McBride gets further into debunking Bri Stern's allegations in the counter lawsuit, he gives us some more zingers. The claim from the Tate camp is that the marks on Bri Stern's face that she released following the incident were from cosmetic injections. And incredibly, in an attempt to discredit Bri's claims, McBride points out that the medical report only notes a mild concussion. He seems to think that it only counts as assault if there's a severe concussion. He says the mild concussion is only based on subjective facts. I'm not sure how that would go down in a courtroom. One side brings a medical report from a doctor who has assessed the person and diagnosed them with a concussion. And the opposing counsel says, objection, this is subjective, Your Honor. I don't think so. To discredit the marks on Bri's face from this picture on March 11th, Team Tate have included a number of pictures of Bri from around the period and included them as exhibits, stating that there are no marks visible on Bri's face in these pictures. And incredibly, for some reason that I cannot wrap my head around, they included this picture from March 25th. 2 weeks after the picture of Bri that shows light bruising. They did also show pictures from the days following that picture, which I think Bri's legal team can easily argue that she used makeup to cover the bruises, but including a picture from 2 weeks following the picture in question feels awfully desperate. In the countersuit, McBride references Bri's team mentioning Tate's infamous machete video. And it is here when we get one of McBride's funniest lines. Unbelievably, he says that Tate's pimping hose degree was a satirical course. The PhD, a course that Tate sold to his fans for hundreds of dollars to teach them how to groom girls into webcam and OnlyFans pornography, was supposedly all satire. What a joke.
And I became a multi-millionaire. I did this by creating a webcam studio, by taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange. I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this, allowed me to retain 100% control of their income, allowed me to make sure they were effective, because it's a super competitive industry. Don't think this is easy money. You're just going to put a girl on the camera and they're going to get rich straight away. No, it's very competitive and it's very difficult. I learned every tip and trick it takes to make sure a girl gets paid. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away. Because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why does she just run off and keep it all for herself? Why are you getting your percentage? I learned how to do everything to take a nobody and make her a somebody. I learned how to take a nothing, turn her into a cash cow. And betas from all across the world would be sending money into my bank account. This is what webcamming is.
It is very clear why Tate and McBride want us to believe that these videos are satire. They may think that this claim will help them in the court of public opinion, but I suspect it will not help them in actual court. In Tate's counter-lawsuit of Bri Stern, the mind-boggling, outrageous claims keep coming. They claim that Stern falsely portrayed Andrew Tate as someone who has referred to women as property. This depiction is highly offensive to a reasonable person, Tate's team says. Tate and McBride are saying that this, as well as Bri claiming that he said that he owned her as property, are defamation. There are so many examples of how this is moronic. Firstly, ever since Tate gained any notoriety, he has regularly stated that he believes women are the property of their man. He has stated this openly numerous times in high-profile podcast interviews with millions of views, including podcasts with Dave Portnoy and the Nelk Boys, both of which I would show you, but I can't for copyright reasons. There is plenty of evidence that Tate believes this in his personal life, like in his own text messages that are verified and in evidence in Romania and have not been disputed by the Tate's lawyers as genuine. Or that, gee, I don't know, he used to get his cam girls to tattoo property of Tate and Tate owned onto their bodies. It is so unnecessary that they would bring this up in the counter lawsuit. It's as if Tate and McBride have a humiliation fetish and want to be made fools of by a judge.
You sound like a fool. Are you trying to sound like a fool? You sound like a fool.
The next part of this counterclaim I want to address is the claim of misappropriation of likeness. Shortly after Andrew launched his crypto shitcoin daddy, Bri launched a crypto coin of her own called Sistercoin. Tate is claiming that she used his name and likeness without his consent for commercial gain. Now, off the jump, this is what Andrew himself would call a pretty beta claim. Throughout Bri's time with Tate in Romania, she did numerous posts tagging Tate and his coin daddy, including in pictures that Andrew happily posed in, and even pictures with Tristan. What Andrew seems to have been claiming is that she forced this upon him and made him continue to collaborate in these posts against his will. Tate is once again in this counter lawsuit presenting himself as a big baby. But to me, the most ridiculous thing about this misappropriation of likeness claim is that Tate is claiming that Bri copied him by launching Sistercoin shortly after he launched Daddycoin, when Tate himself launched Daddycoin as a direct reference to Iggy Azalea's Mothercoin. He even made this clear in his first tweet announcing the launch of Daddycoin. According to the logic of Tate and McBride, Iggy Azalea could sue Andrew Tate for misappropriation of likeness. The hypocrisy is astonishing, and while Bri Stern was apparently forcing Andrew Tate into these collaborative posts against his will, Andrew Tate was sending her loving poems saying that he misses his Pookie pumpkin princess. Of course, in between texts telling her that he was going to beat her and asking what's the point in having her if he doesn't beat and impregnate her, and telling her that she should be thankful. The last thing that Tate and McBride bring up in this counter lawsuit that I want to address, which in my opinion is just shameful, pathetic and dishonest, is what they call Bri Stern's attempted extortion of Louis Van Rooyen in 2022. It concerns Bri's claims that the South African man stole $30,000 from her safe, followed by a defamation lawsuit that he filed against her. I must make it clear that I don't have enough information to say whether this man did or didn't steal money from Bri Stern. But what I can say with confidence is this counter lawsuit misrepresents the situation, I believe deliberately. They reference a podcast called The Jen Rufo Show, which Bri appeared on to talk about this situation. They highlight this quote of Bri saying, "He's paying me because I'm extorting him." Unfortunately for Andrew and Joseph, I found a copy of this podcast. So let's look at where they pulled this quote from and listen to it in full context.
He kept reaching out to me saying, and then he reached out to me and said, because in one of my messages, I was like, look, if you keep committing federal crimes, you're going to get deported. I'm sure ICE would love to hear about this and the feds. Like, please just give me back my money. And I don't care to be involved with you. I don't care about criminal charges against you. I just want this done.
Right.
And he kept saying, reaching out to me like, oh my God, the deportation process has started. Bri, they have asked me to leave the country peacefully. Good. He's lying. Asked me to peacefully leave the country. Please, I'll pay you whatever money. I didn't steal from you, but I'll pay you whatever to make this stop. Making it look like I'm getting him deported and he's paying me because I'm extorting him, even though he didn't take the money. So then he filed charges against me for extortion.
Did we all catch what just happened? In their counter lawsuit, the dream team of Tate and McBride highlighted in bold this quote from Bri Stern out of context, as if she was admitting that he's paying her because she's extorting him, when, as you can clearly see, even if you look earlier in the same sentence, she is describing what she believes Lewis is trying to make it look like. But wait, it gets worse. Joseph McBride and team were very deliberate about exactly where they cut that quote off. If we continue the podcast from the end of that last clip for not even another 20 seconds, you hear Bri say this.
Then he filed charges against me for extortion. Not only did he never pay me $1 back, filed criminal charges against me for extortion, which will never hold up because in every message I said, please bring me back my money that you stole. That's not extortion.
Right.
Believe it or not, there's even more. Earlier in this very same podcast, Bri said this.
I never said, pay me this or else, which is extortion. I said, if you do not bring me back my money that you stole, I will have no other choice but then to post the truth about you online. The truth.
The truth.
Again, I'm not analysing whether these claims are true or false. There's very little to go on apart from the testimonies of each party, and the testimonies of other women who say they were ripped off by this guy. But my point is the Tate Clown Show misquoted Bri in this podcast, lying to the court, painting a narrative that Bri was openly talking in this podcast about how she extorted a South African man, when in reality, in this podcast, she was adamant that she believed this man stole money from her and ripped her off.
But he said, allegedly, he put the safe on the stool and it fell off, but he doesn't think that it broke.
Do you want to tell them how much it was, or do you want to keep that private?
It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money, thousands and thousands.
It was your whole life savings.
Yeah. I paid for his meals and his Ubers because I truly believed he had fraud on his card and because he sent me that wire. I thought the wire was real.
Right.
The international wire that I thought would hit in 8 days. I called my bank. I speak to the wire department. I say, did an international wire ever hit my account? And they say, no. And I said, okay, wait, did any wire from April ever hit my account? And they said no. Yep. And I'm like, are there any wires in process coming through or that were in process and canceled? And they said no, we can see everything. Absolutely nothing. I was like, are you 100% sure? And they said yes. So at this moment, my heart dropped, my stomach clenched, and he knew about my safe and saw it and saw me in it one day. He walked in when I was in it and I was like, can you please get out and give me some privacy, and saw that there was money in it.
Oh my God.
So my heart dropped and I knew.
This is my opinion, Joseph and Thomas, if you happen to be watching this. The way Tate's legal team characterized this podcast was so blatantly unethical. You can get in quite a bit of trouble for misleading the court in such an egregious way. In the counterclaim, they point to the defamation lawsuit that Van Rooyen filed against Stern being settled out of court as evidence that she tried to extort, well, it was $30,000, not $300, saying that this showed malice and ulterior motives. Does anyone want to guess how much this lawsuit was settled for? Anyone? Anyone? It was settled for a grand total of $0.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Van Rooyen agreed to dismiss the lawsuit as long as Bri deleted her posts about him. Van Rooyen's lawyers told the court that they were happy to do so because Bri had conceded and admitted that he took no money from her. But when you look at the text from Bri to Van Rooyen that they provided to the court to back this up, she said that she was going to take a leap of faith that he would pay her back when he can, and that she just wanted to move on. If this guy had a compelling case of extortion against Bri, why did he fold so easily and happily dismiss the case with no payout? Based on past behaviours, this is something that I think I am going to have to bring up again in the future. I predict the Tates and their network of flogs to jump on the narrative that Bri Stern has a history of extorting men for money, no matter how flimsy the evidence is. This video should give you an idea of the type of lawsuits that Andrew and Tristan Tate are filing at the moment. Absolute diarrhea sprayed onto court documents. I'm experiencing this myself personally. For those that aren't aware, Andrew and Tristan Tate have filed a lawsuit against myself and a number of other individuals who have been critical of them on social media. I believe it is of similar quality to the work we just saw in the counter lawsuit against Bri Stern. A number of us are crowdfunding our defense against this lawsuit. I'll leave the link in the description for those who are willing to donate or share it on their social media pages. Thank you to everyone who helped us reach $20,000 raised during the week. You can also support the production of the content on this channel by joining as a member. This was one of those videos that takes quite a bit of preparation to put together. The members really make these videos possible.